All right, welcome to the Town of Fontana Dam Town Council meeting here, Wednesday, November the 20th, 2024. We're going to call to order at 5:31. All right, let's see, approval of the agenda. We've got any adjustments we need to make there, otherwise I'll entertain a motion for that.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thanks, Sarah, and welcome back.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We've got October minutes. I think Zell had some issues with that, so we're going to table that. We'll be introduced in next go round.
Yeah, and if somebody runs up on an agenda, please shoot it my way.
Sure thing. All right, got that public. We've got, I guess Becky's kind of public, but
Right.
And we got Kevin from the paper over there. Anything you want to toss in there, Kevin?
No, sir. I've got nothing.
Just
Here,
that.
just here to report.
All right, well, I guess we'll get to the financial update there in our discussion items.
So, we have currently in our general fund, we have $94,551. But there is 33,665 that's restricted to POW bill, so we only have 63,000 in operating funds. And our utility fund is at $31,515.
31,515.
Mm-hmm.
Utility. All right, thank you, Zell. A little less than what we've had. Kind of slowly winding down. I think also on the financial side of things, we had a question last meeting about where we were at on the user fee stuff. And I think what there was like the budget closeout. We weren't quite sure if we were back, where exactly the last payment was credited towards. And I think it was back to December. So, December 23. So, I think where we were at, because what happened was there was a payment made in July, which was the next budget year, and it kind of got lost in the shuffle from and on the accounting side of things. So we had to get, we had a question for Willamette, and she helped clear that up for us. So I think where we were at right now through October, we had 95 grand on the user fee that was outstanding, and then on the utility we're currently around 16,000. It's like 16 and change. I don't know the exact number, but I just wanted to kind of get that up to speed. We had that question, so that's resolved. That budget closeout's good. I guess on the heels of that, talking financials, I think the audit is done, at least preliminarily. It's been submitted to the LGC, and we got a copy of kind of the initial performance indicators from them. And generally speaking, it's kind of what we'd expect. One kind of notable flag, that will elicit the letters. We're familiar with the letters. We seem to always have something going on, although in the last couple of years we've actually been pretty good. The fund balance available as a percentage of expenditures, for comparison, 2022 was running right around 100%. So we had a healthy fund balance, and we were doing pretty good. And I think generally everybody was happy with that. I think we were in line generally with things, although I think you're typically talking a minimum of like 70.
I think LGC likes for people or for towns that like in our size and category to run at about 132% fund balance, and so we were like at a little over 100%. So, which, but by the way, was the best we've ever been by far.
Yeah, 99, and then so for 22-23, that percentage dropped a little bit. It was to about 91%. Still pretty solid number, given where we were at, and a lot of the challenges we were facing. In this past year, it's dropped to 51%. 51.65 was the calculation. So we burned through some general fund is the short of that particular one. Let's see. We're gonna definitely get a red flag on that one. Let's see. And I can pass this around, let everybody take a look at this. We did have a couple of questions, I think, accounting questions. We had something pop up that we weren't quite sure what it was due to, and so we gotta kind of double check, clarify something. But as far as
Well,
it's like a
basically,
discrepancy between two funds.
yeah,
is what it
but
amounts to.
basically where we're at, I mean, at this point in time, we'll be lucky, through the first of the year.
Yeah, so, then projecting forward, I think we're talking, so Zell said we got, 63 unrestricted, kind of projecting forward, looking at what we've got left to spend. We could, I was kind of thinking maybe February, March. It's kind of tough because our bills don't come in on an average basis, they come when we write the checks.
Mhm.
So we've got an audit that's still outstanding that we've got to pay for once it's presented. Hopefully we're gonna get that here shortly for us to take a look at. We just wanna double check a couple of things we noticed when we were looking over some of the preliminary numbers. So ultimately, I think the long and the short is we certainly are gonna have to try to see what we can do to generate revenue. Right now, we have one primary source of revenue. We're kind of bogged down there. If we're going to start looking under every rock and try to see what we can find, any possibilities, any and all possibilities.
Mhm.
We're going to consider. We've got a few calls in. We're trying to think outside the box. If you got a problem you can't seem to resolve, you start considering any and all avenues. Ultimately, we may have to start thinking about, things, if we can't get the funding we need to continue going, that may force us to ask some hard questions about, the existence of the town. I don't wanna really think about that or go there, but it's, when you've dropped nearly 50% on your fund balance, that's a tough one. So, that's just roughly where we're at. I'll pass this guy around here. These are generally, let's see if I can put it back in order. I think it was that. Yeah. There's that guy. Let's see. Anything else on the financial side, though, that I might have missed?
I don't think so. I mean, we're in bad shape. That's the only thing we can say, and looking at the numbers that, it's not pretty, but we have a couple of ideas that may help us, so stay tuned. We're gonna try, to see if, we can, find some help for us and for the resort and for everybody, so.
I mean, the bottom line is we can't keep bleeding or we're gonna be dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Moving on to the grant update, there's some good news there. We've jumped through, I think, most of the hoops and hurdles that we had to.
And there was a lot of them.
Yeah, we had
We're talking of a year later after actually getting.
I think it was October, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's
Roughly
been
a year.
almost an entire year that, in trying to get through all of the hurdles and stuff, so.
So we're at the point where we have signed off on the environmental side of things, which included, I think, a few different aspects of review that, some of which we weren't really exactly clear we're gonna have. Then we had one kind of come out of left field and we had to kind of, to go through that one. But there was nothing, there was no objection, no finding, anything like that.
Well, the only
so-
thing is that there was some findings like from that Catawba Nation that was like with the understanding that, and also like, certain parts of the year you couldn't clear trees because of the bats, That
Yes.
was like, I think from, I wanna
I
say.
think it's April to October.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that they're, you know, we couldn't clear out trees and stuff during that time, and that if there was any kind of, discovery of any, like, Native American type artifacts in any way and disturbing the ground, that we needed to halt and get that checked out, so those would be the only restrictions that, so far.
And since our permit pretty much says we gotta stay in our footprint, the likelihood of running across anything is probably gonna be
Pretty, pretty,
almost,
low.
I would think zero, but you don't wanna say zero.
Yeah, I would've thought we'd have been started on this project a year ago, so, yeah.
So the last, sort of details, I think, before we can actually request our first drawdown, so the general logistics, we were trying to figure out, what are the general logistics? And I think the way, after speaking with the ARC rep, per the grant, it's a 60-40 split on the drawdown. So it was a $700,000 grant that we were awarded. There is a matching component coming from Fontana Ventures of $423,000 and change, I believe is what it was. So the way it will work is they will deposit that money into an account, town account, and then we will essentially request 60% drawdown from ARC. They won't give us that money. We'll be requesting that drawdown from them, and then we will be drawing down 40% from the account that we've got with that money. And then once it hits zero, then it'll be 100% payout.
And the only thing that we gotta check about that is if, we have, because it's in kind as well, contributions, so if we have people in ventures that is contributing to the workload in some way, shape, or form there, and that in kind match, how does that affect that
If we're
drawdown?
using staff and equipment to say hunt down leaks and whatnot, how do we do that? Do we, come up with a market rate on that and then bill it as such? That's a detail that we've got to kind of sort out. So we did have our lawyer kind of look into, the timing of things, as far as when does that money need to be in a bank account, and generally speaking, his finding was that that needs to be in there before we make our first drawdown request from ARC. So that's generally, we weren't sure, and I think we were advised to consult our lawyer just so that he could, look into the legalese.
Logistics, yeah.
Sometimes the legalese is difficult to decipher. So that's the finding there. So we are currently discussing with Ventures that aspect of it, and hopefully, we can, we'd like to get moving on this thing. We're in the slow season right now. So we, if we're gonna find leaks and try to dig things up, now's the time to do it. I think up until March.
Yeah,
We're gonna have we're gonna have business starting to pick up pretty significantly in March, whether it be.
and one of the good
hikers
things
or-
too is like with the in-kind match, like if there's something that we can do immediately, like using the resort resources, like a major league or something, then we wouldn't have to really worry about a drawdown of that money. We could go ahead and get started. I mean, as far as like drawing that money out to pay for that, because it would be an in-kind match, so.
We do have a couple outstanding bills, I think, that we're gonna have to pay for.
Yeah, we got the environmental study.
Yeah.
And we've got all the advertisement costs that, from putting in the paper and stuff, so.
Yeah, and then, we have had a contract with the engineering, but I think it's been so long, we're gonna have
We're
to
gonna have to renegotiate.
we're gonna have to discuss that again. We did have a service that they did perform with that pressure testing.
Yeah, but we have not
We're
got any
trying,
results
we're
from
trying
that.
to
No.
sort out what were the results and what was the bill.
Right.
So,
And meantime, I did have another person reach out to me that was recommended by Matthew Russian with the state, Diener, and also Troy Cassidy with Rural Water. That is an engineer that has reached out with a couple of emails. So if Withers Ravenel in this renegotiation goes far above what we can budget for in this grant, that would mean that we could go back out for proposals, because we have not signed anything with them. So, that would be another option, and this guy seems to be pretty hungry about wanting to get started on something, so, that could be good news, because I have no, they were over budget, over what we had budgeted for engineers to begin with, and now a year later, they might be a lot more over budget, I don't know. So,
Yeah, I'm just happy to the hope, I think, from everyone is, if we can identify some areas, that we need to focus upon, and then develop a strategy, do we try to cap some leaks short term, and then identify a section that we need to attack with a line replacement, in the kind of medium term.
right,
And then, develop that strategy, more long-term as well, potentially even, looking beyond, if we can go ahead and have a strategy for perhaps that next round of funding we might gain access to, hopefully, we've got that game plan, because I don't have any illusions that 1.1 mil and change is going to solve all of our problems.
right.
Hopefully,
And
it's
then
gonna
we-
make a nice dent.
Yeah, we did also, though, at the end of the year, we started losing excessive amount of water in our intermediate tank. It was dropping down to like, 4 feet a night. And, but when they turned off the campground, that improved. So before the campground gets opened back up, that is definitely gonna have to be an area that's, worked
We've
on
got
to find out what's
another
going on there.
pressing issue, because that tank being as small as it is, if it loses at a significant rate, it's, you have to kind of keep feeding it.
Yeah,
And not to mention, it services the
top of the dam.
bottom of the dam?
No, because they turned it off, so it wouldn't be, it's the top of the dam. And,
Campground.
yeah, the campground.
It's at bottom of the grant, I think it's bottom of
Well,
like,
don't they still get water over there though, the bottom of the dam? They still got offices over there, right? Or am I thinking, you're not talking about the TVA offices over there?
well, so the top of the dam would be like,
The showers? and-
showers and
But
the,
I know that these hikers that came through, they said that water and stuff was still working up there, they took showers up there.
but that's off the marina circuit too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe the marina circuit and the top of the dam are on that circuit, and I think that's being fed from the village circuit. That's not coming
So if the
from the
campground,
immediate.
maybe they just shut the campground itself off and nothing else,
Right, right.
They didn't, yeah.
Right.
Because I think it also serves the water plant and the wastewater plant, right, and the bottom of the dam. Yeah, okay,
Anything below that, significantly below that.
yeah,
So that's an area that's gonna be one of the more pressing sort of discussions right off the bat, I would think, to really analyze, in addition to the loss that we have. That's a major, it's just a complicator, because, because of the way we have to move water, we have to
Right.
pump it to the intermediate, it has to hold there, it's servicing a few things, and then it also has to hold so we can push it on up to the main. So I think it's becoming a more critical aspect, where it wasn't, so something's happened.
Talking about that reminded me of this, that there is gonna be a bridge replacement down there by the wastewater plant, correct? And, I really didn't figure DOT to get back to me this soon with all the stuff that's going around the state with the hurricane and stuff, but, we have been in communications again. We had another on-phone, meeting the other day, and, they are requesting, they're trying to figure out, cause they gotta prepare for the worst case scenario in a flood zone, and, so the things that they have proposed is that they're gonna figure out how to seal the door around the water plant in the basement area there where, the clear well and all of this is, to seal that off, and a couple of other areas there, but there's a couple of electrical boxes there, and there's a couple of electrical boxes down at the wastewater plant that we're gonna have to move up out of the flood zone. They told me to get them some cost estimates that they would, if I could get them, they first wanted to do reimbursement, and I'm like, I don't know that we have the money to do it, to pay up front and have you reimbursement. I just do not know that we do that. Depends on the difficulty of, of whatever the pricing may be. So anyway, I'm gonna call and get some people out here to look at that and see what that will cost. They will pay them directly, or pay the town will pay them directly, so that we can move them.
Should that be done in collaboration with Service Electric, which is rebuilding the entirety of the distribution system?
I don't well, I don't know, that's a good question, I mean, I just know that that's
gonna get
already
switched
there.
on in the middle, if they're starting mid-25 on the bridge project, and it's a 2 or 3 year, by the time they're done, it's gonna be a different grid.
But those,
Totally different, like, voltages and everything on it.
but would that change those stuff down at the water plant and the wastewater plant?
I believe it is, I
just know that
I
those
could be
electrical
wrong.
boxes there's 2 of them at the water plant that sits almost halfway down the bank, like if you're going in the first driveway there, it's almost halfway down the bank there. And that, it's at the, like a very low level of the water ever getting that high, but it's still within that floodplain, and they wanna move it up to the top of the bank. The one at the wastewater, the same kind of scenario, it's just, but now these are already established electrical boxes that are operating, so I don't know if that would have anything to do with the new stuff that's being done now. Other than just, I mean, and all we'll be doing is just moving it, but I just,
yeah, we'll talk to them.
yeah, and,
find out.
Dennis sent me, like, a name of somebody that we could get, but obviously, they may, we could include it, and then the DOT would just pay them, I don't know,
Yeah, let's figure that out.
yeah, so,
It's
And we
worth
certainly
looking
get-
into, and they're the ones.
yeah. If
'Cause
they're here,
I know, I just don't remember which part of the circuit that's on, basically, because I know the interconnect to the whole village is changing. Like, in
Right.
the yard. So, I don't remember what the plan was exactly for the marina, like, I don't understand how that part of it fits in
right,
to our system, whether you guys have a separate connection or what. You know,
Right.
if that makes sense?
yeah, it
Like,
does,
cause our connection, we're changing voltage.
right,
We're going to a new voltage stand. So,
Here in the village.
in the village,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know what's happening with those ones,
Yeah.
or whether that's
Yeah, I think
changing
it
or.
peels off at the feed where it goes, like up where we had that damage last year.
Yeah.
I think it
that's
peels
the
off and
line.
heads down the line, so I don't know.
So they may be on the interconnect, and this may have just been an oversight by Service Electric or TVA or something, but it sounds like something we gotta discuss with.
yeah,
Yeah, get them in the loop, make sure, because we don't wanna do the work twice.
Yeah, that too, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it's gotta happen anyways, you know.
they had at first suggested they were gonna put up like a porta, like dam around the buildings, but they, the people that do that, said they could not do that there because of the lay of the land and how it was, so sealing off anything, like, to keep in the case that there was a flood that came through, that it would, keep water out from under the water plant and eroding anything there, they use some kind of sealant and just seal that door.
Well, and the whole
I got it.
point for the concern is they're gonna be installing new supports for the new
Yeah,
bridge.
and
So they're gonna be restricting flow, I
flow,
guess. in the
yeah,
river.
and if that water builds up and we have a bunch of rain, then it could definitely cause flood issues. And we brought up the fact that the electrical lines down through there, they've come out and looked at this a lot, so there's been, a whole lot of work going into it,
I really think, in a normal scenario where you didn't have some control immediately upstream, I think it would be a very great concern. Especially considering what we saw in, over towards Asheville and with Helene. I think with our capability to manage water out of the dam, I think the only time it would really be a big concern would be, say, in the spring when we were already full, and then, or say in the late fall when if we were already full, say from a hurricane, and then we got another system and we couldn't actually retain the water and hold it in our storage in the lake, because there's a lot of storage that lake can handle.
But TVA's on the other side with way more electrical equipment at roughly the same elevation. Are they not doing this in
No.
collaboration
Well,
with
yeah,
TVA to control?
they have, in looking
whole
at the
thing?
floodplain,
It's a little
everything,
higher.
yeah, it's higher up, it's
I
out of
think,
that.
I think the drop from the powerhouse to the bridge is maybe more than you think. It might be, I'd be interested in knowing exactly what
That's
that number is.
interesting, yeah.
If that's 10 feet, if
But we
that's-
did, I
15
brought
feet.
that up about, the TVA side and making sure, I'm like, you got a power plant and everything over there, but, they went through and they did the worst case, like 1,000-year flood, the worst case scenario and there was nothing in the floodplain on that on the TVA side.
Which is roughly what Helene was, there was a lot of numbers I've seen, somewhere between a 500 and 1,000 year storm,
Right.
depending on what specific location you're referring to.
And I'm sure, with it being DOT that's doing it, they probably are making sure they're covering all of
Our
it.
proximity to that bridge is, the wastewater plant specifically.
I would have thought so, but you know what? The water plant is in more direct challenge than what the wastewater plant is, believe it or not. I can, and showing the diagrams and the red and stuff, the water plant, it has more potential for flooding than the wastewater plant. That blows my mind, but there you go.
Wow.
That seems wrong.
I know it does, but I don't have, when we were talking about this and they showed us all the diagrams and everything and the red, and it comes on the wastewater plant, it comes up to, right at the foot of the wall where, the clarination and all that happens, that's as far as it comes up on that, whereas at the water plant, it comes where those electrical boxes are. So, it's just, I don't know why that is, but, I guess that's why those engineers get all the big bucks, because I would have been like, no way, no way.
Those particular diagrams, are those accessible from a portal or anything?
No, they have not shared any of that. Now, I might be able to get a copy of it. I can see if I can do that through, the woman that, sets up all of our
See if you can-
conversations.
Because I mean, a graphical illustration of what is going to happen potentially, or what could happen down there, I think that would go a long way to helping us maybe understand.
And
why
we've
is
set
that
up
the
things
case.
like, if an event that if there was a flood down there, having somebody stay down there and in the plant, because once they got in, it'd be really hard to get out because they couldn't just
Stone
they wouldn't be able to
roads
come
would
up the
flood
road, and from down there, and there's the terrain from up above is too rough, so they've talked about a lot of things, but I will do that. I'll get in touch with her and see if I can't get some kind of some of those graphs that they've been showing on when we've had our conversations. And then the only other thing that I can think of is that we talked about that earlier is in December 17th with the fiber thing. We've got people that are coming in to walk the system again because we are trying to get fiber pulled into the village, which, correct me, Thomas, if we get this fiber, is that gonna take care of all of our internet woes?
It will allow us to take care of our internet.
So that will give us, that will
and
put us on
potentially
in this century.
Are you going to be around for that, Thomas? The 17th, December
I-
17th?
It sounds like I will be there.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind to be there too. I just.
I think isn't that the day before our meeting?
That's the TDA. That's when the
Oh,
TDA.
then I'll,
meeting
yeah,
is.
then, oh wait.
Yeah, December 18th is our meeting, so the 17th is the day before, yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be,
So I would need to be there anyways, one of us.
yeah.
Let me just look at the calendar.
And I think really that is all the updates that I know of.
So Wednesday, December 18th is the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will be here for the fiber meeting, and I'll go ahead and pick this both in.
And I seen that you sent a thing to Donna about the room.
Yeah, I got the room taken
Okay.
care of already, so
Right.
we'll.
Are you good for that meeting
Okay.
next week?
Yep.
All right.
Next month.
Do you have any
Yeah, next
questions?
month, not next
Okay.
week.
Yeah, you've been out for a little bit. Do you have any questions for us?
Zell and I caught up. She's got me up to speed, so I'm aware of everything kind of going on, and
Yeah, we've got a few irons in the fire at the moment,
Right.
for sure.
But a lot of stuff that happens will be good things, so for everybody involved over here on this side of the mountain. So
Yeah, we're just looking for some resolution on some various issues, and hopefully, there's definitely some potential for some positivity.
Mhm.
Sometimes when you're in the middle of the fire, though, it can get pretty hot.
yeah.
All right. With that, if anybody doesn't have any other questions, I'll go ahead and adjourn. We're gonna adjourn here. It'll be 6:01. Thank you all for coming out there in
Thank you.
internet land.
That was the